Shalom, shalom, Israel. First and foremost, I want to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem HaKadosh. Yahweh is the Most High God, and Yahushai is to the world, and he calls Jesus the Christ. I want to give double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who been willing to walk through the Spirit, teaching His word and believing His word to the best of their ability. Lord willing, the Most High continue to put in their spirit to endure. Mighty shalom to the hopeful elect scattered four corners of the earth, in and out of congregations, teaching His words to the best of their ability. Lord willing, the Most High increase them to endure. Shalom to the wives and the single sisters. And when they continue to be believers of His word and strive to be loving and silent and virtuous wives. Lord willing, most have mercy on other brothers and sisters that's not in the faith. Today is the dumbass ThanksKilling. And tomorrow is called uh, Native Day, or whatever the heck they call it. But let's get into bringing out the truth, because everybody want to say that they just coming together to vibe with family when they could have did it the 19th. They could have did it the 20th. They could have did it Sunday. They could have did it Monday. They could have did this anytime. But in this specific day, in this time that you do it, and you ain't even speaking on what this day represents, right? What you see on the screen, it says God hates our Thanksgiving. I mean, our Thanksgiving. Scripture at the bottom, Amos 5 and 21. I hate and despise your feast days, and I will not smell your solemn assemblies. The Lord don't give a damn for any holiday or any celebration that we have in this world that don't pertain to anything that's a holy day or a feast day, right? Y'all can screenshot this if y'all want. Screenshot it. I see. Save it right there, real quick for a quick second. But the whole point is where the red line draws, where the red line is damn near trying to make a square, right? It says to see them frying in the fire. This is Jason Mason saying this. To see them frying in the fire, in the streams of their blood quenching the same. And the stench was horrible, but the victory seemed a sweet sacrifice. They gave praise thereof to the Most High. This event marked what was most likely the first actual Thanksgiving, and the pilgrims were pleased with the result. Any goodwill that may had existed was certainly now gone by 1675 Massachusetts, and the surrounding colonies were in a full-scale war with the great Indian chief of Wampanoags. Salaki if I ain't say it correctly. This is from a book called How White Folks Got So Rich, the Indian Land Grab. I'm only paying attention to the part where I drew around, but I'm going to start where it says the king's slowness to an, annihilate the Indians was one of the reasons the founding fathers wanted to separate from England. Their Declaration of Independence calls them the merciless Indian savages. In the early Thanksgiving holidays were little more than celebration of successful racial massacres. This is before the freaking Jewish Holocaust, Salaki, the small hats. And this was called the Red Holocaust. I'm just giving out history facts, right? And just to make it even further, I'll go to the book. George Washington, down here, went to war, went to war with the natives. It says it at the bottom where the red is at, right? Killing any Indian that remained. In 10 months, Force Washington led had fought 20 battles against the people who lived on that land for thousands of years. Between 1787 to 1871, America entered into 40 treaties with the Indians and promptly broke every last one of them. This is why the scriptures say, never trust thy enemy. President Andrew Jackson, Indian Removal Act of 1830, initiated a series of genical wars against the remaining Indian nations. Then they made a Dawn Act telling them to change their names, and this made it even better. Because if the indigenous Indians ruled this place, they had their name, their tribal, and all this. So Esau thought, if you want this land, change your name to an English name. That already sealed the deal. We can take this. because the people that was here had indigenous names, and they were indigenous people. You have English sounding names. However, they did it. They were crafty. Well, let's go into one particular scripture. This is Second Ezra chapter 13, verse 40. Those that are the 10 tribes, which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king, whom Salmanaser the king of Assyria led away captive, and he carried them over the waters. And so came they into another land, but they took this counsel among themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen, and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt, that they might there keep their statutes. They said that they might, which they never kept in their own land. It said they might, and they never even kept it in their own land because they kept falling away. The northern kingdom was the first one to fall. It says they enter into the Euphrates by the narrow places of the river. And if you want to see when the northern kingdom falls out, go to Second Kings, the 17th chapter. It says, "For the Most High then showed signs for them, and held still the flood till they were passed over. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half. And the same region was called Arsareth," right? And I'm gonna try, if I can, show you. Like, this is a person on TikTok, on Twitter, showing that the Native Americans, the Mexicans, are the Israelites, right? And they were from the continent of Africa. And Christopher Columbus used the Bible to find America, right? But I'm gonna save that for myself so I can lay me and look deeper into that. But when you read the second Ezra's joint, how he said the Lord guided him. This is how they went into the Euphrates, what we read in Second Ezra 13 chapter verse 40, where the red arrow is at, that blue line. And if you know, in ancient time, all nations lived over there, in this region, right? So they went to the Euphrates River, and that black line shows how they traveled to the Americas, right? Called Ashereth, right? But let's read what it says in the black words. It says, "Who are the Native Americans and how did they get to America?" The 12 tribes of Israel split into two kingdoms: Northern Kingdom, today called Latinos, and Native Indians, and the Southern Kingdom, today called Negroes. In Second Ezra, the 13th chapter, it describes how the Northern Kingdom was captured out of Israel and carried into slavery in Assyria. They then made an agreement amongst themselves to travel to a land where no man dwelt before, so they could practice the commandments. So they entered the Euphrates River, and the Most High guided them to Ashereth, today known as the Americas. Right? All praises to Yahweh Shem Shai. He allowed this information to get leaked. Right? Let's get into it. Let's get into these little videos right here.
Of Thanksgiving was the men walked off from their families and went further north into Mystic, Connecticut, and he murdered these Pequot Indian children, elders, women, and men. Got them in the enclosure of their habitat. They had built forts, per se, but that was only for the protection of their people. And they trapped them in where they couldn't get out, and they set it on fire, and they burned them to death.
Come on, let's go. Let's go
Celebration
back.
of Thanksgiving.
And I wanted people to know the truth about that. It was actually, yeah, if you want to talk about
I do
how
want to talk
Thanksgiving
about
came
I
about.
do want to talk about it. First of all, you got to
For anybody to say, "Oh man, that's not no damn real Indian," well, let me tell you, Israel is a speckled bird. Now you do have $5 Indians, right, who are Edomites, right, and they damn near benefit from that damn getting land. But real Indians, right, the real ones are gonna hate and despise Thanksgiving. Real Indians are gonna speak on the history of the genocide. They're gonna really say, man, we ain't got no land and this and this and that. But you got some $5 enemies that got wealth and got money. Most of our brothers that got the reservations are drunk, or they just smoking a whole bunch of damn cigarettes. And this is what our enemies did, man. Gave them good gifts. Not even good gifts, but they made it seem like it was good gifts.
Remember, my dear brother, that's history, his story.
It's
It's not our story. When they proclaimed Thanksgiving, it was in Mystic, Connecticut, a tribe of Indian people, the Pequots, that were thriving in.
May 26, 1637, remembering the Pequots, the Mystic Massacre, 700 Indians killed. Think about it. Now, I'm about to mark that date right now. I'm marking it right now. So every time we come past this date, I'm going to remember this. May 26, 1637, right? The Mystic, I'm writing this down. The Mystic Massacre.
Surviving. But shortly after, we taught these white people how to farm and how to take care of the land and raise food. They got beside themselves. A few years after they started prospering, they decided that they were going to take their women and their children out to a big field and have a cookout celebration. No Indians brought deer. There was never a Thanksgiving dinner with them, according to what they say. Not true. The celebration of Thanksgiving was the men walked off from their families and went further north into Mystic, Connecticut, and he murdered these Pequot Indian children, elders, women, and men. Got them in the enclosure of their habitat. They had built forts, per se, but that was only for the protection of their people. And they trapped them in where they couldn't get out, and they set it on fire, and they burned them to death. Then they came back. They were so thankful that they had killed these Indians, but that was the first Thanksgiving, not what you read about in their books.
It wasn't until when President Lincoln decided, instead of having it every other day when they were going to different tribes killing them, that he decided to make it once a year, a day of Thanksgiving once a year.
True.
Yeah. Why don't you hold that market, book it, clock it in? Niggas is not talking about this, man.
Then they came back. They were so thankful that they had killed these Indians, but that was the first Thanksgiving, not what you read about in their books.
It wasn't until when President Lincoln decided, instead of having it every other day when they were going to different tribes killing them, that he decided to make it once a year, a day of Thanksgiving once a year.
True. But let me tell you about President Lincoln. Because Indians, the Dakota, and Nakota Indians wouldn't give up. These are the people from Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, up in that area, would not give up. They were fighting, and they captured in excess of 200 of them. And they wanted to hang them all. But Lincoln intervened because of, then they came back. They were so thankful that because Indians, the Dakota, and Nakota Indians But Lincoln intervened because of,
Hold on, I gotta
and they
probably
came
go.
back.
I probably gotta go to the actual video.
Their books.
It wasn't until when President Lincoln decided, instead of having it every other day when it
What time was that? 5:09. So like, yeah,
Or into Mystic, Connecticut.
we want to get
day
there.
when they were going to different tribes, killing them, that he decided to make it once a year, a day of Thanksgiving once a year.
True. But let me tell you about President Lincoln. But Lincoln intervened because of politics, should I say politics. And he said, no, I don't want you to
I like how he said that. He said instead of calling it politics, he called it politricks. I like that. I like that.
have them all. Pick 38 of them. And that's how they came up with the Mankato 38. That was the largest mass hanging ever.
He said the largest. Lincoln ordered the greatest mass hanging in America's history. Bitch, please. America's greatest mass hanging. The execution of 38 Indians was personally ordered by the great emancipator, President Abraham Lincoln. 38 Indians were hanged on President Lincoln's orders following a bloody massacre of settlers and soldiers. Man, if I could say it now, I would literally say F Lincoln. F that penny, man.
In this country, this republic.
Shut books. They gonna get there.
That negotiating treaties with the people who were living here was a ridiculous notion. So he looks at the Supreme Court ruling that validates the Cherokees' right to their land, and he literally responds in the snarkiest way possible, saying, "The Chief Justice, John Marshall, has, quote, made his decision, now let him enforce it." No, he was not going to enforce it. Jackson had a different plan in mind. It came in the form of a new law that he pushed through both houses of Congress. His whole worldview towards First Americans embodied in a piece of American legislation, the Indian Removal Act of 1830.
And if y'all was paying attention, I just read that out of the book How White Folks Got Rich.
This law used taxpayer money to get tribes out of the United States and to relocate them to an uninhabitable place that surely no American settler will ever end up.
The Great Plains seemed an inhospitable land to people familiar with the eastern states and of Europe.
This became their dumping ground, and it came with a promise. Move here and we will never mess with you again. And what's crazy to me is that even after all of the shenanigans, all the facades, they continued to play this charade, saying that the nation of Indians may choose to exchange their land where they now reside. The law says that the government had to negotiate these treaties fairly, voluntarily, peacefully, and that the government would, quote, forever secure and guarantee them their new land, and that they wouldn't break any of the pre-existing agreements that they had made in previous treaties. But no, this was just more pretending, a paper trail of pretend humanity. Just as Andrew Jackson had ignored the Supreme Court ruling, he had no intention in following the law that he helped create. But he kept up the ruse. More documents, more signatures, more paper that made these civilized, justice-minded people feel like they weren't orchestrating a mass ethnic cleansing, sanctioned by the government, paid for by taxes, but they were. So this law is implemented, and the United States government, military, and even private companies start to ramp up their removal efforts of first Americans. They focus in on these 5 tribes that were sitting atop the land that they wanted for their cotton empire. More bribes, more pretend negotiations, and when push came to shove, more threats of violence. The Cherokee eventually signed a treaty agreeing to sell their last portion of land, and they moved west. out to their little rectangle of land that had been allocated to them by the government on maps. The only problem was that the leader who signed the treaty on behalf of the Cherokee people was not actually the real leader. They had no authority to make this decision. The Cherokee chief furiously protested this, but the US didn't care. They had their signature from someone. In their eyes, all was justified. Between 1831 and 1838, nearly every member from the 5 tribes was expelled from their land. 100,000 people, whose home this was, now forced to walk by foot for more than 1,000 miles through brutal weather and terrain towards a little box on the map, a place they had never been before. The Cherokee would eventually call this journey the Trail Where We Cried, or the Trail of Tears. Some tried to fight back against their oppressors, and others stood their ground until they were forcibly bound in chains by the US government and herded west at gunpoint. Their land was vacant, and cotton farmers with their slaves moved in, and the economy grew. We'll never know how many people died during all of this, how many lives were really destroyed. Some people say 3,000, other estimates say 15,000, but you don't need those numbers to see how destructive this was. It was systematic, it was documented, and it was enshrined in law. We have a paper trail of all of it, showing the receipts, the payments, the treaties, the bureaucracy of it all. It's like a bunch of spreadsheets from the 1800s. American settlers, in an effort to be different from the old world empires they fled, ended up carrying out the first state-sponsored ethnic cleansing. There's a reason why Hitler, 100 years later, references this exact event, this process, when he was carrying out his own ethnic cleansing. He said that the Volga, which is a river in Russia, would be, quote, our Mississippi. He said that Europe, not America, would be the land of unlimited possibilities. The story of what happened to many nations of the first Americans doesn't end here. In fact, this is kind of the beginning. We're going to make a second part to this video, and in that part 2, I want to show you what happens next once these tribes arrive to their little rectangle on the map. Indian Territory, the place where these tribes were forced out, dumped, and left to build a new life, and how they once again tried to fight back using the legal frameworks that had pushed them out, and how all of that led to the establishment of one state in our country that could have looked a lot different.
Man, that shit is crazy. If I can, I'm gonna just go straight into scripture. This is crazy. Let's go to the first one. We're gonna go to the book of Psalms, chapter 55. Chapter 55, verse 20 to 21. Here's what it reads. It says, He hath put forth his hand against such as be at peace with him. He hath broken his covenant. Right? And look, they made 400 treaties and broke every last one of them, which we just heard. And the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. Went over George Washington went over 20 battles, 20 war battles against the Indians. How much more do you think that they went? We have to go deeper. That's not even enough. I'm only giving you little tips. You know what I'm saying? Just the little that we have right here is supposed to make us upset, right? It's not upset, let me go get a gun and kill these fools. It's supposed to make you upset, like I don't want to participate in these worldly acts. You're making them more money, let alone your nation is getting torn down. This is Sirach, Ecclesiastes chapter 12. I'm reading it in the Good News translation. It say never trust an enemy. His wickedness is as destructive as rust, right? It gets worse and worse, right? The rust will make metal look so old, right? It's time to change it. It says, watch out, be on guard against him, even if he acts ever so humble. He is like a metal mirror that rusts away. if you don't keep it polished, right? He doesn't have no righteousness in him, so he can't get polished. It says, sit an enemy at your right hand. And the next thing you know, he'll be trying to get your own place of honor, right? Put him next to you and he will overthrow you. Then you will realize the truth of my words and be stung with regret when you remember them, right? When we look at Apocalypto, you see at the end the one Indian run, but the two stay. We opened our eyes, but guess what? The Lord had us confounded when these men came to this land. Everything was predestined because the northern kingdom wasn't keeping the Lord's ways in this land. So this is you reap what you sow. Anybody call on the name of the Lord, Sirach chapter 2, verse 10, they wasn't left, they wasn't abandoned. Right? Verse 13 it says, nobody feels sorry for snake chambers or wild animals tampers who gets bitten. And nobody will feel sorry for you if you run around with sinners and get involved in their evil doing. An enemy will stay with you for a while, but not when trouble comes. He will speak fine words while he plots how to trap you. And this is probably what they were doing to the Indians. He will pretend to share your sorrows, but will kill you if he gets a chance. Imagine, right? When you look at Pocahontas, yeah, new people are coming, everybody talking new people. You're not going to kill them. Y'all just be like, yo, let's stay away from them. The settlers come on your land, they're settling down, and then after they done settling, it's time to get work done. Instead of looking for what they're looking for, they're looking to see other people living in this land. So we can say founders, keepers, losers, sweepers, eaper, whatever the heck they call it. They gonna body you. We're gonna make less and less, so you don't have a mouth to say, "Hey, we had this land first." You saying five of y'all, 10 of y'all had this land, and I got a whole team over here, right? Anymore. Let's go to Genesis, Genesis 49. Genesis 49, verse 19. It says, Gad will be attacked by a band of robbers, but he will turn and pursue them. Right? Gad will be attacked by a band of robbers, and he will turn and pursue them. Right? It's in the KJV. Gad, a troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last end. And that even happened with Assyrians. What they said, they had a crappy council with themselves and said, "Man, we gotta leave these people." Right? But look at this time, it happens again. Gad get overtaken again by Esau on this side, right? The Lord gonna turn us into hunters. Amos 5:21. I mean, we already brought that out. You already seen that in the first verse. The first picture that I posted, right? So we just gonna keep on going. If it comes out again, it just comes out again. This is Psalms 83, and I know a lot of y'all probably heard this one before. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna read it in GNT. It says, "They are making secret plans against our people. They are plotting against those you protect. Come, they say, let us destroy their nation so that Israel will be forgotten forever." Right? And while they're doing this, they think that the Indians are savages instead of understanding to see who these people is and where they come from, right? Or trying to make some order like, hey, how about we split half of this? But when you are Esau, nobody gives a damn. There's no law over here, no government established to say you found this first. And I got way more people over here. We got way more weapons. Esau is a nation of I don't care. It says they agree on their plan and form an alliance against you. The people of Edom. I'm gonna just stop there. We can say Ishmaelites, Moab, the Hagarites, the Gabal, the Ammo, Ammonites. right? The Amalekites, right? The Philistines and Tyre. We can mention all of them, but the first name was Edom. Who came over here? The Europeans, right? They came over here. They made crafty counsel. They made plans while you was about to go make you some food. And Thanksgiving was the pilgrims' celebration. It wasn't Indians, right? Let's finish this. Let's go to Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. We're going to read 43 to 45. It says, foreigners who live in your land, Salaki, let's go back to the KJV. Foreigners, the strangers that is within thee, shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come very low. Right? And look what happened to the Northern Kingdom. They became very low when the European settlers came here. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. What did the one Indian dude say? He said we was teaching them how to farm. What else was they teaching them? We was even teaching them how to wash up. What Esau do? Create a system to make certain soaps that got pork in it. Hey, that's for another conversation. Verse 45. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, it shall pursue thee and overtake thee, till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of Yahweh Shemel Shai thy power, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee. Right? This all happened to them because they wasn't following the ways of Yahweh Shemel Shai. This a curse when nations come against you, man. Right? This is a curse because the world was made for us. Right? Lamentations chapter 5, verse 8. Servants have ruled over us. There is none that doeth deliver us out of their hand. Nobody. Not even one of your fellow Israelite brothers was gonna be able to deliver you out this mother sucking. This mother sucker's hand, man. Right? Going to this one verse I use fluently, Deuteronomy 28:50. A nation of fierce countenance which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young. And what he said about the Mystic Massacre in 1637, May 26th, they killed mothers, children, the elders, and the young. They didn't give a damn, right? Yo, history opens your eyes, man. History lets you know who you is and what happened to you. When niggas is talking about a perky bag, I call it a perky bag or a Gucci, and that shows you even more. You niggas don't even know history. That Gucci, Louis Vuitton, that wasn't for us. Most of them niggas was racist. Oh man, hey, I understand though, because we all could be wearing something right now, and no mother suckers is racist or prejudiced. You know what I'm saying? Being racist is just caring for your own people. You know, the clothes don't make you nobody. You make the clothes. You make them look good. In order them to be an outfit, you gotta wear them. So I understand, right? Nahum chapter 3, verse 1. Woe to the bloody city, it is full of lies and robbery. The prey departeth not, right? This place is filled with blood and lies. We can't really depart anyways, because we were taught so much lies. Where the hell we gonna go to? You can go to a whole other land and still don't know who your ass is, right? That's the sad part. That you can go somewhere else and just live life and still don't know who your ass is. That is brazy, right? This is Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 12. Woe to him that buildeth a town with blood and establisheth a city by iniquity. Destruction to that town, right? Destruction to that place. To hell with that place. To hell with the rulers and all of that, right? And this is why you think America is getting the turmoil, man. Because that blood is crying out to Yahweh Shem Shai. That innocent blood is crying out to Yahweh Shem Shai, right? We're gonna read this all the way down to 11. This is Habakkuk chapter 1, verse 5, right? It says, the Yahweh Shemashah said to his people, keep watching the nations around you. And you will be astonished at what you see. I'm going to do something that you will never believe when you hear about it. Right? So what he said, he said, you will be astonished at what you see. Right? It says, I am bringing the Babylonians to power. Those fierce, reckless, restless people. They are marching out across the world to conquer other lands. They spread fear, terror, and in their pride, they are a law to themselves. Their horses are faster than leopards, fiercer than hungry wolves. The cavalry troops come riding in distant lands. Their horses paw the ground. They come sweeping down like eagles attacking their prey. Their armies advance in violent conquest, and everyone is terrified as they approach. Their captives are as numerous as grains of sand. They treat kings with contempt and laugh at high officials. No fortress can stop them. They pile up earth against it and capture it. Then they sweep on the wind and are gone. These men whose power is their God, right? And that one verse hit it. It hit it to the coffin, right? Because this is the Lord replying to Habakkuk's complaint of injustice, right? And Yahweh Shemashai replied quickly and said, and Yahweh Shemashai said to his people, keep watching the nations around you, and you will be astonished at what you see, right? You're going to see death. You're going to see a lie. You're going to see manipulation. I'm going to do something that you will not believe when you hear about it, right? Our brothers and sisters don't believe shit that's said out in these scriptures that happened to them, that they most likely could be the people. I am bringing the Babylonians. That's ancient Babylon, right? But now we're in mystery Babylon. You want to know what's mystery? They have the Israelites in this place. You want to know the mystery? That the small houses rule in this place, right? They're the new Egyptians. They're the new Babylonians. It says the Babylonians to power. No, the Most High said he's going to bring the Babylonians to power. Those fierce and restless people, they are marching out across the world to conquer other lands. The Lord said he is bringing the Babylonians, right? You know what that just made me think of? Oh, I'm sorry. Y'all might not know. The three holy children, verse 9, right? Let me get that. Three holy children, chapter 1, verse 9. This is what it reads. It says, and thou didst deliver us into the hands of lawless enemies, most hateful forsakers of the Most High, into an unjust king, and the most wicked in all the world, man. The Lord had given us to these lawless people. They were supposed to do what they're supposed to do. Yes, they went overboard. And guess what? The Lord is documenting all of this, man. They're going to be destroyed. This is an unjust king, man, the most wicked in the world. This man made a damn holiday about killing your brothers and sisters, and now you do it every year. Once. Christmas, Easter, all of them have a bad history, and they're all paganism. This did not come from, this is not your culture. But when we start following the nation, yes, that is a culture that we did. We start envying the damn oppressors, envying the less people of the earth. All the nations that is spittle, they are considered less. But it's okay. Don't take my word for it. Lord willing, this is edifying, and if it wasn't, it's okay, man. We're gonna get it back in blood, man. It's your brother at Dark Bar, man. I'm not better than you. You're not better than me. But we can tell I can tell you one thing, Yahweh Shema Shai, man, it's amazing. And if you didn't hop on the wave, man, you too late. With that, Shalom.